All right, welcome to the Sharp Mind Show, episode 81. I'm Nate, the Fit Future MD, your host. Be sure to shop at insercell.com, pick you up a cool, inspirational t shirt today. All right, so Sharp Mind Show, first thing we're going to do is talk about money. And so, as many of you know, there's been a pullback in the market, right? And crypto is down big, right? Well, how big is crypto down? That's a great question. Let's go and look. All right. Bitcoin is down for the year, I think 7% for the year. Yep. So Bitcoin's down 7% for the year, but had a high of 123 and now it's sitting at 86,000 as of this morning. But basically, the question is it time to panic when it comes to the world of crypto? And the answer is absolutely not. So this happens in stocks a lot, right? So the big institutional players now have enough Bitcoin to basically manipulate the price, right? So they could come in, they can, say they have 10 million Bitcoin. They could come in and sell 500,000 Bitcoin and make it go do, 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 do. And then all of a sudden they got retail people selling their Bitcoin at a lower price, right? And so that's kind of the idea. They do that in stocks almost every day, right? So stocks will go up overnight. People buy in the morning and it'll sell off the rest of the day, right? And so and basically that's just price manipulation, um, and that happens in stocks all the time. It's happening. It happens now. It's happening now in Bitcoin, right? Basically, got a pullback. Um, Also, you can see some of the retail investors, may need the money at this time of year, or they're so up on Bitcoin for the year that, so if you bought back Bitcoin back in April, right, where it was like 82,000, so, I mean, it went all the way down to 76,000. You're still up $12,000 for the year on Bitcoin. Um, but at these prices, retail investors are not really investing in Bitcoin anymore. Like it's too expensive. $86,000 is more than most people make in a year. So obviously it's really institutional investors trying to kind of jingle the retail investor that bought, at 20,000 or 10,000, trying to jingle them out, right? So the S&P is still up 14% for the year, right? So outdoing crypto. Gold was killing it when I looked, for the year. Gold is up 61% for the year, right? So, right now, crypto on an up year is looking like it's going to, it's actually down, right? So it's going to be down. You're going to be losing 7% on your crypto this year if you bought it at the beginning of the year. Obviously, you bought in April, you're still doing good. Um, because the president gave us a gift in April of the huge pullback. But let me know what you guys think, about the fundamentals of crypto here. Um, Obviously, some of the ETFs holding crypto are having a hard time keeping the people, in the ETFs, right? Because when things drop like that, obviously people panic, but you got to realize you're only down 7% on the year, um, as far as crypto goes, and but yeah, it looks bad when it goes, a big percentage down in a month. It goes down 20% in a month. People were freaking out, right? But um, you got to look at the chart. You got to look at the overall picture, and definitely see that it's probably just the big boys trying to shake out retail investors, so they're the ones that own the crypto in the long term. Now, me personally, I don't own any crypto, and that's because I think that crypto is going to go to zero eventually. or at least the crypto that they think is, I think there'll be crypto, but it won't be crypto the way it is. It'll be government backed crypto, and it'll be completely separate from uh, a Bitcoin or Ethereum or anything like that. So that's just my opinion on it. But obviously, if you have you have a portfolio of investments. If you invest 5% of that portfolio into something that goes to zero, it's not really going to hurt you that bad. So keep that in mind. But let me know what you think of crypto in the comments below. This episode is brought to you by Dylan and Davina. The Adventure Begins, which is my wife's children's book. If you haven't checked out Dylan and Davina, The Adventure Begins, and you have nieces, nephews, or children of your own, I highly suggest that you do. We definitely appreciate your support. And it's available on Amazon. It's by best-selling Amazon author Meredith Dillon Johnson. All right, so the final weekend of college football just passed us, right? We had some upsets, over the weekend. So where does that leave the college football playoff? Where does that leave the rankings, right? As far as the college football playoff bracket. So this looks like, yeah, that's an old article. Okay, so we got our two undefeateds, which is Ohio State and Indiana. They happen to be in the same division, I think. I think they're all in the Big Ten or whatever. So let's check out the schedule here and see what we got going on. So we got 11 BYU at Texas Tech. We got Georgia and Alabama. You got Indiana, Ohio State. So there's only going to be one undefeated team this year. You basically might as well call Indiana and Ohio State the national championship. That's on Fox this weekend. But the big news is that Duke in the ACC makes the championship against Virginia. And Miami is ranked the highest in the ACC at number 12, and Virginia is ranked 16th, right? So there's a possibility here that Duke beats Virginia in the Duke beats Virginia in the ACC championship game, and then the ACC may not even have a person get into the college football playoff, right? If that happens, I really don't see Virginia getting any help by beating Duke. But then they would, be the highest, champion. You're trying to get the four highest champions, conference champions into the football playoff. So like you say, you got Ohio State, Indiana. One of them is not going to be undefeated. Georgia, Alabama. Alabama's already got 2 losses. So I think if they get 3 losses, if they don't win, then they're not in my opinion, because they'll have 3 losses. I think they'll be out. And so you got BYU playing Texas Tech. If Texas Tech goes 11-2 and BYU goes 12-1, BYU obviously could have the bye there, and jump up a few spots. But it's definitely a year where you got a lot of people in the mix. Obviously, you got Tulane and North Texas for the American coming in. Whoever wins that, I think, should get an automatic bid because if North Texas knocks off Tulane, that makes them 12-1. Even with a not a really strong strength of schedule, it still gets them 12-1 and should get them the 12 seed, in my opinion. and getting into the playoff, right? And that might jump them above Virginia, even if Virginia wins. Say it might jump them above Virginia. But the notable ones that would be out for me, is obviously Miami would be out at 10-2, even with a higher strength of schedule. Um, Virginia loses to Duke, they're out. So it could get pretty wild there. Let's say if Ohio State loses to Indiana, I don't think that even changes. Uh, I think they should still be 1-2, even if they lose. Even if Ohio State loses to Indiana, I think they should go to number 2. Because if you lose to the number 2 team, that should make you number 2, not number 3. Just my opinion. But let me know what you think about this college football ranking. What you think about what's going to go on with the playoffs. Like I said, you got your conference champion matchups here. Obviously, like I say, I think it's pretty exciting. You got Texas Tech, BYU. You got Bama, Georgia. You got Ohio State, Indiana. That's going to be the late game. Duke, Virginia is the late game on ABC. So you got some pretty excitement going on college football this weekend to see who gets into the actual football championship. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. All right, we're going to move on to live coaching today. And this guy says, I want to change my life, but I don't know where to begin. I hear motivation, but I need steps. I need actual blueprint, right? So, welcome to the right place. Let's say I'm a life coach, so this is what I do. I give you actionable steps to increase you, to make your life better, right? So, what goals do you want? You have to figure out, number one, what goals do you want, right? And some people don't know even that. They don't know where to eat. Like I say, you don't know where even to begin, right? So, number one, be figuring out what you want, right? So, if you live in an area that's, so they talk about the deep South and how basically the deep South and some of the impoverished areas, basically like a third world country. If you live in one of those areas, you need to decide if you want to stay there or not, right? Do you want to stay there and have a high chance of being impoverished or not, right? So the number one thing to do is to change your area code if you're in an area that's impoverished, like this in high poverty, right? Because your up is not you can sell good all day, but if people around you don't have any money, then there's nothing you can do about that, right? Luckily today with the internet, you could be anywhere in the world, and the internet can you can go viral on the internet and completely change the stripes of your area, right? So, you got places in Louisiana, Mississippi, where you got companies popping off from young entrepreneurs that are going to bring money from all over the world into the areas that are at one time considered the poorest of the poor areas, right? So, let's say keep that in mind, but that's where you begin. You say, okay, do I want to stay where I'm at, or am I moving somewhere else, right? And then you have to choose somewhere else if you're going to be moving. But then after that, it's mindset, skill set, habits, right? So you change your mindset by using affirmations. And I saw a video of some guy saying how he doesn't do affirmations. He just asks himself a question over and over and over again. I'm not really a big fan of that. I'm a fan of the affirmations. Because you ask yourself a question, you can have different answers, whereas the affirmation tells you exactly what needs to be said to your mind over and over and over again. Because obviously, if you come from one of those impoverished areas, your belief that you can actually make it may not be there, right? And so you have to believe, you have to have the mindset to believe. Obviously, then you check out your skill set, right? So I say today, it's not the physical skills that you may need. It might be the mental skills that you need, right? The vocabulary, the computer skills, the IT stuff, the AI, the robotics, that kind of stuff that the skills you need to get, right? So you use your habits to get those skills, right? So 10 minutes a day, learning about the skill set you're trying to learn, trying to make better. Um, and if you do that, you're going to be successful, right? So that's just the small little blueprint, like general thing, right? The general that's the generalization of what it would take to help change your life, right? So mindset, skill set, habits. Use affirmations to change your mindset. Read 10 minutes a day to help your skill set, and then check your habits every day. Your habits is what makes you, right. So that's where you start. You start with your mindset, your skill set, and your habits. If you need me to help you set up where you want to go, your actual blueprint to your life, and to get into a situation that you want to be in, hit me up in the DM for life coaching or sign up directly on InterCell's website. All right. And so the last thing of the day is the quote of the day, and it's built from the bottom. Built from the bottom, right? And I say one of my old quotes is built brick by brick. I like that one. But basically, it's the idea that you don't worry about anything in the future. You only worry about what you're doing right then, right there, right? So if you're a bricklayer, you lay each brick perfect, right? If you lay each brick perfect, eventually you're going to have a wall of bricks, right, that are perfect. And so that's basically the idea behind the mindset, skill set, habits, right? So basically, you're doing the habits every day to lay that one brick perfect every day, right? And eventually, the brick is added up to you have this giant, the Great Wall of China, right? So that's what it means by to be built from the bottom, right? Um, and so say you move it on to weightlifting, right? What would this mean as far as working out and being healthy, right? It means that you go in and you focus on your form, right? You go in and make sure that your form is correct in every exercise that you do, right? And then eventually, you do the correct form day after day. Eventually, you're hitting PRs like it's nobody's business because your form is so good that you know the form itself is making your PRs go up, right? So, and there's a lot of people that their forms is terrible. They have back pain every time they work out, or shoulder pain every time they work out, and it's because of their form. And if they would just lower the weight and step back and check out their form, then a lot of their problems would go away, right? So start from the bottom, you build from the bottom, no matter what. So even if somebody starts and gives you money, you're still starting from the bottom because you still need to learn how every part of a business works, right? Or at least hire it out. So anyway, that's the quote of the day. I'm Nate, the Fit Future MD, and I'm a life coach. If you're looking for life coaching, hit me up in the DM. Let's talk about it. Let's sign you up for the year. You get 100% of your money back if I don't improve your life. So check that out. Shop at InstaCell.com. Pick up a cool inspirational t-shirt. Be on the lookout for new hoodies and stuff like that coming soon. And check out my wife's book, Dylan and Davina, The Adventure Begins, available on Amazon. And we'll see you in the next piece.